The Magic Gourd by Baba Wagwe Diakite. And here we see a village, a picture. You can see the villagers here on the side, and there are lots of animals. Big turtle, some birds in the trees, a little snail. For those who have little, yet live a life of utmost grace, this book is dedicated to the people of Mali. It all began when the sun refused to allow the clouds to gather, and there was no rain. First came drought, then came famine. Everyone was hungry, and it was then that Brother Rabbit wandered around the parched countryside, searching for wild roots to feed his starving family. And as he walked, he sang, "Luck will come, life will be good." Suddenly, Rabbit was interrupted by a sweet little voice that called out, "Dogozan, Dogozan, rescue me from this thorny bush. My arms are being poked and scratched. Oh, help me, and I will pay you well." Rabbit was busy, but still he stopped. "I will help, simply to avoid seeing my brother suffer," said Rabbit. And gently he lowered his hand between the thorny branches, and he saved the green chameleon. As Rabbit turned to leave, Chameleon called out to him once again, "Dogozan, don't go yet. Would you mind getting my gourd from the bush too?" "A gourd?" cried Brother Rabbit. "You want me to scratch myself again for just a little gourd?" "Oh, please, Dogozan," begged Chameleon. "I will reward you well." Again, Rabbit's kind nature got the best of him, and he bent into the thorny bush and rummaged around. Over here in this picture, you know, chameleons are like little lizards, and they change the color of their surroundings. And here you can't hardly see Chameleon because he is blending in with all the leaves around him. When Rabbit reached in, he brought out a beautifully decorated gourd, and he handed it to Chameleon, but Chameleon just said, "Keep it, it's your reward." "But it's just an empty gourd," cried Rabbit. "It's not just an empty gourd," Chameleon replied. "It's magic." "Oh my," said Rabbit, "a magic gourd?" "Oh yes," said Chameleon. Watch this. Magic gourd, fill yourself up with insects." And Brother Rabbit watched in amazement as Chameleon licked up a bowl full of insects. "Why are you giving me such a valuable gift like this?" Rabbit asked. "You were kind to me, Brother Rabbit. Besides, I have my own secret for catching insects." And he quickly unrolled his long tongue for Rabbit to admire. Rabbit thanked Brother Chameleon, and he rushed home with his gourd. That really is a long tongue. Look at all his rabbit family right there. That's a lot of bunnies. As soon as he arrived home, his entire family eagerly gathered around. "An empty gourd?" they all gasped in disbelief. "It's not just an empty gourd," said Brother Rabbit. "It's a magic gourd. Watch this." "Magic gourd," he said, "fill yourself up with carrots." And to their astonishment, the gourd magically filled with carrots, and happily they all ate them. "Magic gourd, fill yourself up with couscous," he said, and again they ate until they were satisfied. "Magic gourd, fill yourself up with water," he said, and then they all drank deeply. From that day on, Brother Rabbit's family drank and ate well. But as much as they wanted to keep the magic gourd a family secret, they also could not sit and watch friends and neighbors suffer during this famine and drought, so they invited them to share their meals every day. And this is how word floated around from one to another until it came to the house of Mansa Jugu, the greedy king. One day, the greedy king and his soldiers broke into Rabbit's compound and forced the little gourd away from him. Now, with the magic gourd in his possession, Mansa Jugu sat day and night commanding the little gourd to fill and refill with more and more gold. Look at that, all that gold. And over here, there's like money and coins and gold keys. He's greedy. Meanwhile, unable to get the magic gourd back, Rabbit returned once again to his poor life, scrounging for wild roots to feed his hungry family. Despite the hardships of the moment, he still had courage to sing his song. Luck will come, life will be good. One day, while hunting for roots, Rabbit heard his name being called again. Dogozan, Dogozan! Recognizing the sweet little voice, he turned and looked in all directions. Slowly, the chameleon came into view. He had been right next to him on a sparkling green rock. Dogozan, what has happened to you? Cried Chameleon. You look skinny and pathetic. Rabbit told him all about the greedy king who stole the gourd. Again, Brother Chameleon offered a gift to Brother Rabbit, but this time it was the beautiful crystal rock that he had been standing on. What is this, Brother Chameleon? Asked Rabbit. This is just a fara, a little rock. And as soon as the words came out of his mouth, the rock leaped into the air and bounced off his head. Yikes! Cried Rabbit. Stop! Stop! There it is, hitting him in the head. Fara! Cried Rabbit. Stop! Again, the rock knocked his head. Excuse me, Dogozan, said the chameleon. You must call him by his name, Fara Ba. With that, the rock dropped silently to the ground. Rabbit thanked Chameleon for this unusual gift and returned home with it. The next day, Brother Rabbit rolled the rock in a fresh shio leaf and walked to the king's palace. I have brought you a mysterious gift, Your Majesty, said Brother Rabbit. Wonderful. What is in it? Asked the king anxiously. Rabbit slowly unrolled the rock from the shio leaf and showed it to Mansajugu. Oh my! Faradoran! Exclaimed the king. A simple rock? And with that little rock began ricocheting off the head of the king. Ping! Ping! Stop this rock! Cried the king. But no one could capture it. All day and all night, that little rock played music on the heads of the king and his soldiers. The annoyance continued, and the king became troubled. Mansajugu was finally forced to call Rabbit back for help. Cleverly, Brother Rabbit demanded his little gourd back first. You may take all the gold, but leave me the gourd, said the greedy king. But the gourd was a gift to me, replied Rabbit. Then take all my food from my royal storage bins, but leave me the gourd, cried the annoyed king. Now let us bargain, countered Rabbit. My little gourd is my prize. The king angrily shouted, Just take it all! Take the gold, take the food, and take the little gourd. Rabbit took the gourd, but he left the gold and the food behind. And before he turned to flee, he shouted, Faraba! And calmly, the little rock dropped back into Rabbit's hand. Fearing revenge from the king, Rabbit's family escaped to the country to join their faithful friend Chameleon. From Chameleon's great lessons in disguises, Brother Rabbit learned the skill of hiding in the bush. Today, Dogozan and his family are masters at going undetected. One could be hiding in your backyard right now. Mansajugu, the greedy king, and his soldiers felt embarrassed by their defeat at the hand of a small rabbit and a small rock. The king could not believe that in his moment of weakness he had given away the wealth of his kingdom. Exhausted and hungry, the king sat down to eat before pursuing Brother Rabbit for revenge. And upon opening his storage bin, he was surprised to discover that all of his wealth and food remained. Come and eat, he called to his soldiers and servants. Let us appreciate what we have been given. And from this final kind act of Rabbit, the greedy king Mansajugu began to learn the importance of generosity and friendship. As for Rabbit and Chameleon, they have always understood loyal friendships are true treasures that make one rich. And for their many good deeds, all sang a song of praise to Rabbit and Chameleon. The end. I hope you enjoyed that folk tale from the country of Mali on the continent of Africa.